Oasis City is a playground carved from steel, glass, and infinite lines of credit, having forged an entirely new silhouette into the horizon over the last decade. Where once there existed a brutal, asymmetric struggle for mere survival, there now stands a financial empire built upon the bedrock of quiet dignity and unyielding human brilliance. Simon Lee Holdings does not simply participate in the global financial market. It dictates the pace, representing the ultimate milestone of a decade where the quiet ghost of a scholarship student step by step became the primary architect of the city's economic future. Jack Lee moves through these grand architectural spaces not as an anxious outsider searching for a place to belong, but as the absolute steady hand at the helm. Beside him, Sarah Simon Lee has masterfully converted her family's complex institutional legacy into an impenetrable matrix of global strategic alliances, while Gabriel Chen executes the infrastructure operations that keep their predictive trade machine running. Together, they have constructed a system that does not merely calculate transaction flows, but deciphers the underlying soul of corporate intent. Yet as the morning sun coats their empire in gold, dark and long-neglected equations begin to shift in the shadows. The true, uncorrupted ledger of their collective triumph is not archived within digital market hubs or etched upon silver boardroom walls. It is discovered here, captured within the long, serene golden shadows of a peaceful weekend afternoon. This is the exact world they swore to shield, a sanctuary where historic family friction has dissolved into genuine domestic safety. Look, Mary, I completely refuse to cross-reference my grill temperature with a tablet algorithm. I know exactly when a steak hits medium rare purely by the audio pitch of the sizzle. Cooking is an interpretive art form, not a corporate data harvesting pipeline. Your interpretive art gave us charred brisket last month, Gabriel. Data doesn't sleep, and it definitely doesn't burn the dinner. Jack, please talk some operational compliance into your friend. When it comes to operations on the grill, Mary, I always defer to the practitioner in the field. Gabriel has structural immunity out here. At the head of the long wooden table sits Mr. Charles Simon. His silver hair catches the amber afternoon glow as he rests his hands over his mahogany cane. Watching the grandchildren interact, he recognizes the continuation of a lineage. Leo Lee, 8 years old, wearing tiny round glasses and a small blue hoodie just like his father, sits on the grass intensely calculating a card layout against Jessica's eldest daughter, Sophie. Near them, little 5-year-old Arya Lee gathers smooth stones from the flower beds, placing them one by one like precious currency into her grandfather's open palm. 10 years ago, Jack, we sat in a room far less grand than this one, discussing numbers on a temporary whiteboard. Today, the name outside this skyscraper reads Simon Lee Holdings. It is no longer an experiment. It is the gold standard of Oasis City. It is time the legal structure accurately reflects the internal reality. This document allocates an immediate 30% equity block directly to your personal portfolio, designating you as co-managing director with absolute, unreviewable veto authority over strategic asset plays. No conditions, Jack. If your vision demands branching into sovereign funds independently tomorrow, my capital will secure your launch. When I first stepped onto this campus, Mr. Simon, I told Sarah that my primary goal was simply to build enough status to be considered worthy of standing adjacent to your family. I wanted to protect her from the judgments of the city. Equity blocks do not alter that core promise. I accept the partnership, but I require complete independence over our operational safety architecture. We run things my way. I expected nothing less from you, Sovereign. The old world thinks it can survive by hoarding old secrets. We need your perspective to keep the horizon moving forward. Your late father, he would have been profoundly proud of the man you chose to become, Jack. To understand the complete dominance of Simon Lee Holdings, one must witness their operational pipeline in motion, functioning like a singular, highly coordinated organism. Jack Lee acts as the primary analytical mind, converting raw structural market inconsistencies into predictive geometry on his office whiteboards. From his calculations, the data transitions instantly to Sarah Simon Lee. Her strategic desk takes those pure formulas and weaves them directly into capital commitments with global institutional allies. Simultaneously, Gabriel Chen coordinates real-time trade execution across 3 floors, while Mary Chen actively audits their incoming analytical pipeline for structural anomalies. Execution velocity is locked in at 0.2 milliseconds ahead of the main exchange index. The pipeline is running perfectly fluid, team. We are completely outpacing the entire morning market. The camera slowly tracks down a heavily reinforced secure corridor at the rear of the floor, lingering on a massive, biometric locked door labeled Operations Vault. Gabriel carries the primary physical security keycard to this vault, which shelters the actual highly sought-after active predictive model. It represents a digital prize that many desperate actors in Oasis City would risk ruin to capture. To understand the complete dominance of Simon Lee Holdings, one must witness their operational pipeline in motion, functioning like a singular, highly coordinated organism. Jack Lee acts as the primary analytical mind, converting raw structural market inconsistencies into predictive geometry on his office whiteboards. From his calculations, the data transitions instantly to Sarah Simon Lee. Her strategic desk takes those pure formulas and weaves them directly into capital commitments with global institutional allies. Simultaneously, Gabriel Chen coordinates real-time trade execution across 3 floors, while Mary Chen actively audits their incoming analytical pipeline for structural anomalies. Execution velocity is locked in at 0.2 milliseconds ahead of the main exchange index. The pipeline is running perfectly fluid, team. We are completely outpacing the entire morning market. The camera slowly tracks down a heavily reinforced secure corridor at the rear of the floor, lingering on a massive, biometric locked door labeled Operations Vault. Gabriel carries the primary physical security keycard to this vault, which shelters the actual highly sought-after active predictive model. It represents a digital prize that many desperate actors in Oasis City would risk ruin to capture. 20%, Luke. That is all that remains of our family's multi-generational footprint in the city. Every asset block we try to manipulate is immediately anticipated and absorbed by Simon Lee Holdings. They are suffocating us in broad daylight. If we do not acquire their predictive analytical leverage within this financial quarter, the Vance name becomes a mere historical footnote. I know exactly what they are doing, Father. But Jack Lee isn't a careless amateur. His internal infrastructure is built like a military fortress. We cannot outtrade him on the open floor anymore. If you want to crack his ledger, we have to bypass his perimeter entirely. We need a wedge inside his walls. My intelligence contacts inside their security division have identified a specific target, Herman Wolf, their Tier 1 cybersecurity manager. He holds massive, unpayable gambling debts to high-risk offshore operators. He is completely compromised, desperate, and possesses direct access codes to their active modeling servers. Approach him, Luke. Offer him a complete exit package. This is a high-risk data theft maneuver, Father. It is the type of desperate play that ends with prison sentences if Jack detects the trace. Fine. I will coordinate an intermediary to execute the approach. We ensure no direct lines lead back to this house. Herman Wolf's life has shriveled into an exhausting series of defensive mathematical panic attacks. Inside his dark, trash-strewn apartment, debt notices cover the kitchen counter. A framed photograph of his young daughter lies face down on his computer desk, a silent testament to a life completely derailed by unmanaged addiction. The Vance proposal arrived via an untraceable burn message like a horrific lifeline. The data access keycode is highly synchronized. If I execute the extraction sequence, Gabriel's automated logs will register a Tier 1 administrative query. What happens? What happens if Jack's monitoring system locks me inside the server bay? Do your employers secure my legal protection? Your debt collectors are currently waiting outside your daughter's elementary school, Herman. You do not possess the luxury of negotiating secondary safety nets. Extract the core analytical dataset tonight, deliver the copy file directly to this node, and your entire debt balance vanishes before sunrise. Fail to deliver and we withdraw our buffer. Choose immediately. Herman stands motionless in the freezing concrete structure long after the shadow leaves. The sheer, overwhelming weight of his choices presses down on his rounded shoulders. He knows with complete clarity that he is stepping over a legal cliff. Yet looking inside the cash envelope, he turns his ignition key and drives directly towards Simon Lee Holdings. The ultimate irony of structural data theft is that the thief rarely understands the true topography of the network they are pillaging. Operating with administrative privileges, Herman Wolf successfully accesses the Tier 1 system environment. He copies a clean, professional-looking dataset package titled Predictive Market Calibration Module V42. He believes he has stolen the crown jewels. He pulls the silver drive from the terminal slot, his forehead glistening with nervous sweat. Walking out into the secure rear corridor, his boots squeak against the polished floor panels. He passes right by the biometric panel of the operations vault. He glances at the smooth, handle-less surface for a brief second. He has no idea that the real model, the real-time risk-weighted engine, lives behind that barrier, entirely untouched by his network query. He delivers the stolen package to the Vance broker, thinking his nightmare is over. Gabriel, listen to me very carefully. I am running an international trade compliance sweep across logistics shell networks linked to Vance intermediaries. A large, off-book capital transaction just settled through an account directly connected to one of your internal cybersecurity team members, Herman Wolf. It fits a textbook data brokering extraction profile. Herman, he manages our primary infrastructure logs. If he has been compromised by the Vances, our outer data environment could be leaking oil. Did your network capture the timestamp of the transaction, Carl? The account was funded 3 days ago, right before a massive server query hit your outer directory. I don't know the depth of the breach, Gabriel, but someone has breached your perimeter. Deploy an internal audit immediately. Watch your logging signatures. Understood perfectly. I am initiating a silent tracking audit across all server read events from the past month. Thank you for the line, Carl. Jessica married a genuinely elite operator. I'll flag this to Jack immediately. Arrogance is a highly effective blindfold. Over 3 subsequent trading weeks, the Vance conglomerate tests the stolen dataset on localized commodity options. The training model performs beautifully, securing consistent 20 to 30% returns. For the first time in 5 agonizing years, Edgar Vance smiles with relief, fully believing he has stolen the ultimate market map. They remain completely oblivious to a catastrophic structural fact. The stolen training code lacks the active real-time political risk variables and sovereign bond cascade logic that live only inside the operations vault. It is an outdated map that functions perfectly on standard flat terrain, but leads directly off a cliff when the main market conditions turn volatile. Simultaneously, Mary Chen successfully bridges the ghost access trail straight to Herman Wolf's terminal credentials. 9:30 a.m. The opening bell chimes. Desperate to reclaim their empire in a singular stroke, the Vances execute a colossal, leveraged long position across the manufacturing sector, fully relying on the stolen model's prediction of a rebound. But the model failed to weigh an international tariff announcement that Jack Lee had tracked months ago. The Vance positions walk straight into the opposite side of an immense short trap set by the sovereign. It's not calculating the currency variance. Why isn't it adjusting? The index is down 40% in 90 seconds. Father, the stop losses aren't engaging. Our entire remaining asset base is being wiped out. Edgar Vance does not speak. He drops heavily into his office chair, his silver hair unkempt, his gray eyes staring blankly at the ceiling as his life's work dissolves into digital dust. Across the city at Simon Lee Holdings, the operations floor remains completely silent and orderly. Gabriel Chen looks at a green screen, nods quietly at Sarah and says, "The counter-trade is fully executed. Capital efficiency has cleared peak targets." Jack Lee looks down from his office window, his dignity entirely intact, feeling no malice, only the cold execution of mathematical law. Herman, the network data trail is completely unequivocal. Your administrative security credentials extracted our primary training server package at 11:45 p.m. on the night of the breach. You bypassed your colleagues, your discipline, and your country's legal parameters for an envelope of cash. But you committed a fundamental architectural error. The software module you accessed was an outdated training asset from 2 years ago. It has not been utilized in live trading since the system upgrade. The people you sold it to ran their capital straight into a wall because they utilized a dead map. Do you understand what you have done? They threatened my daughter, Jack. I had loans outstanding with offshore groups. I didn't want to break the company. I just wanted the collectors to walk away from my family. I am so sorry. I will sign whatever confession your legal team requires. Your personal situation is genuinely tragic, Herman, but corporate espionage is a federal matter. Our security team will escort you directly to the state commercial crime unit. If you cooperate fully and name every Vance representative involved in the transaction pipeline, our board will decline to pursue independent punitive civil damages. Choose an honest path now. There is no noise when a lifetime of unmanaged pride reaches its final structural wall. Edgar Vance sits completely motionless as the evening shadows reclaim his study. The legal notice on his desk confirms the worst. Herman Wolf has fully cooperated with federal authorities. The Vance remaining wealth, their historic family name, and Luke's personal liberty are all balanced on the edge of an imminent fraud indictment. He stares at a vintage photograph on his desk, a picture of himself and a young Charles Simon laughing at a business awards gala 30 years ago. The road has completely run out. True strength is rarely discovered in moments of corporate victory. It is forged at the absolute bottom of the human abyss. Eva Vance's sudden, trembling phone call sent Luke racing across the estate grounds, his instincts screaming of disaster. Breaking through the locked study door, his pride evaporates instantly. He finds his father collapsed from a stress-induced medical emergency. Father, open your eyes. Look at me, the legal notices. None of it matters. I don't care about the conglomerate. I don't care about the ledger. Stay with me. please stay with me. I am calling the medical response team now. You are not going to die in this room. We spent 40 years competing for the exact same market sectors, Edgar. We both built this city, and we both made our networks sharper because we refused to yield. I have not forgotten the honorable competition of our youth. I only wish you had not forgotten it either during this recent crisis. Our legal division has officially withdrawn all commercial data fraud complaints. There will be no federal prosecution against the Vance family. Simon Lee Holdings will absorb the outer directory inconsistencies internally. True strength is not defined by destroying a fallen rival, Edgar. I will not add weight to what your household is already carrying. Charles, I don't possess the words. I let my terror of losing status dictate my honor. Thank you for saving my son's future from my own madness. Why would your board agree to this, Jack? We targeted your infrastructure. We tried to dismantle your advantage. Why choose mercy now? Because my love for this family was never a transactional trade, Luke. We build legacies to protect people, not to incinerate old names. Focus on your father's health. The market war is completely over. Fate does not consult corporate schedules. Leaving the hospital structure to clear his mind, Luke Vance walks aimlessly into the rainy night, completely overwhelmed by the grace his family was just granted. Staring downward, he steps off the curb directly into a blind intersection, completely failing to observe a rain-slicked green vehicle sliding out of control through a red light signal. Driving adjacent to the intersection, Jack Lee evaluates the situation in a microsecond fraction of a second. Guided by an instinctive drive to safeguard human life, even that of an old college antagonist, Jack accelerates his own vehicle directly into the skidding car's path, taking the primary side impact crash to shield Luke from a fatal collision. The airbags deploy with a loud blast. Glass fractures into 1,000 shimmering neon-lit pieces. Jack, can you hear me? Why would you swing your car into that impact for me? Are you insane? Speak to me. This is simply not its time, Luke. My posture is fine. Help me open the rear passenger door. Mr. Simon has a minor head bruise from the side panel. Call an emergency response team immediately. Move, Luke. When the structures of old hatred finally break apart, they leave space for something entirely unexpected. The restorative sound of unforced human laughter. Mr. Simon's concussion proves entirely superficial. Hearing of the incident, Edgar Vance disconnects his own medical monitoring cables, marching down the hospital corridor in his simple white gown to confront his old rival face to face. Look at you, Charles, bested by a simple traffic intersection. Get ready for the past to become present, old friend. Recover quickly and prepare for the ultimate thunder competition. We are absolutely going to be lads again. The room completely erupts into a chorus of pure, shared laughter. Gabriel shakes Luke's hand warmly. Jessica and Sarah stand side by side like sisters, their past disputes permanently dissolved. In the sunlit outer waiting corridor, the next generation begins writing an entirely new ledger. Little 5-year-old Aria Lee steps up to Luke's eldest son, 9-year-old Max Vance, who stands awkwardly carrying the heavy weight of his family's recent shame. With an open, innocent smile, she places a small, smooth garden stone into his palm. Max freezes, his gray eyes wide, his hands trembling slightly as he realizes he is accepted. Leo Lee adjusts his small, round glasses, offering Max a quiet, reassuring nod of absolute brotherhood. Arya holds her father's hand as Jack steps out to join them, looking through the window at the laughing elders. She does not comprehend the complex financial mechanics of corporate reconciliation, but she recognizes the beautiful, steady sound of it. The unseen ledger of Oasis City is finally balanced.